Hey, could it be? While I was looking at my phone at the obstetrician's office, I was suddenly approached by someone. I looked up and saw my husband's colleague, whom I had met before. She patted her belly, which was big like mine, and said happily, "You're already having your second child. Looking at your belly, I wonder if you have the same due date as me." "What? Second baby?" "I admire you for being so quick. Your older son is only about 6 months old, right?" I was confused because I didn't understand what she meant. "That's because I'm pregnant with is my very first child." "Well, it's only my first." Her expression froze as I answered her. "That's not right." I immediately questioned her. After that, she told me an unexpected truth. "My name is Carla, 28 years old. I work as an apparel sales clerk at a department store. I have been married to my husband for 6 months. I met him not at work, but at a so-called blind date. Harvey works for an ordinary company with an average income and benefits package. It is a little difficult to live on his income alone, but since I also work full-time, it is not a problem. I would like to have a child someday, but if I were to have a baby, I would have to take a leave of absence from work even if I did not want to. I've been working hard to save money so that I will be ready when the time comes. On the other hand, my husband Harvey is not that cooperative. When I tried to make him a lunchbox to save money, he denied it outright. A lunchbox? I could go to various restaurants with everyone in the office for lunch. But we decided to save money together, right? We have to start with what we can do to save money. I want to go out to lunch with the guys. So where are you going to save money, Harvey? Well, it's a lot of things. I'm gonna do my part. Is that okay? Huh? Okay. We've only been married for 6 months, and our relationship is like this. We married out of love for each other, but I've been concerned about the gap in our values. Moreover, we have been married for half a year, and we still do not have a child. It is not that we did not want to have children. It was simply that I did not think it was the right time to have children yet. My husband has been spending as much money as he likes for the past 6 months without saving any money. He spends money without hesitation, not only for lunch, but also for video games and sneakers that he wants. His monthly income is not that high, so he spends almost all of his income in a month. Since the beginning of our marriage, we have been paying each other $1,000 a month for living expenses. Since then, my husband started to ask me to reduce the amount. Just recently, he asked me for a favor like this. "Sorry, Carla. Can you please reduce the money I give you for this month?" "Well, why? Didn't you just take $100 off last month?" "Yeah, but it's just things have been a little rough." "I told you it's hard, didn't I? That's why you should take a lunchbox with you to save a little money." "That's not what I meant. Just cut it down to 100. Okay. Just make sure you do it right next month." I think he's been coming home later and later over the past 6 months. The number of days he's away from home on holidays has increased. How can he have less money when he's definitely working more overtime? I'm sure he's spending it on something, but when I ask him about it, he just shrugs it off. I have to do something about this situation. I was thinking like that when one day, a barbecue was held at my husband's company. He invited me to attend, as he said the family members of employees were also welcome to attend. His company has a large percentage of male employees, but there was no awkward atmosphere. While I was having a cup of tea, at the end of the room, a woman, a total stranger, approached me. "Nice to meet you. Are you Mr. Rivers' wife?" Oh, yes. "Are you his..." "I'm Yura Hobbs. We work in the same department. I heard that his wife and I are the same age, so I felt close to you." "I didn't know that. I'm Carla Rivers. Thank you for always helping out my husband." "Oh, I'm so glad. There aren't many people my age." You're right. It seems that most of the new hires are older people, and there's no one our age. Most of the women I talk to who looked younger seem to be temporarily workers. On the other hand, most of the old women are part-timers. I guess there are very few full-time female employees. That is probably why someone as close in age as I was so valuable to Ira. I had a good time with her, forgetting my usual dissatisfaction with my husband and having a good time with her after a long time. When I got home, I said to my husband, "Harvey, thank you for inviting me today. It was so much fun."
I'm glad you had a good time. You and Ira sounded like you were having a good time.
Oh yeah, Ira is a very nice person. We got to talking.
Oh yeah? Ira is good at her job. And probably the most powerful female employee.
Wow, she's that impressive. She certainly seems like a good worker.
And she has an amazing memory. She could remember when she did business with which company and almost everything she was in charge of.
In my opinion, Ira does not seem to be the type of person who is easygoing and not very involved in her work. I don't mean to be rude, but I guess it's true that appearances are deceiving. I admire her for her glamorous appearance, good work, and memory. She inspired me to devote myself to my work the next day. I did everything I could and tried to support others. On the other hand, however, the distance between me and my husband grew. My company rarely works overtime, no matter how busy we are. However, recently, my husband seems to be coming home later than ever before. He used to come home at 10 p.m., at the latest, but nowadays it is common for him to come home around midnight. He has been working on his days off, more than before, so one day I decided to ask him why. "Hey, Harvey, you've been coming home late. Are you that busy? I mean, you're starting a new job and all, but isn't it too late for you to go home after midnight? What kind of company does that?"
Don't worry. It's the only time it's this late. Anyway, you have nothing to worry about it.
I hope so. I felt uncomfortable with his vague answer, but I guess I would not get the answer I was looking for if I questioned him now. I decided to wait and see how he responds. 6 months later, however, my husband was still working overtime, and we saw each other less and less. We no longer go out on dates on weekends and holidays as we used to do. And recently, we've been going out by ourselves more and more. On this particular day, I was out alone because my husband had to work on his day off. I took a train in the opposite direction from usual and decided to go to a newly opened shopping mall. It had just opened, so there were a lot of people there. While I was wandering around the grocery store, I heard a familiar voice behind me.
"Hey, over here."
It was definitely my husband's voice. I turned around, but there were so many people that I couldn't catch him. I could see what looked like his back, but the crowd obscured him from my view, and I lost him. What's going on? That was definitely Harvey's voice. If he didn't call out to me, who did he call out to? That night, I decided to wait for my husband to come home and talk to him. He came home after 11 p.m., and I started talking to him. "Hey, Harvey, where were you today?"
Huh? What are you talking about? I was working on my day off, so I'm supposed to be at work, right?
"I was at the new mall, and I heard your voice."
What? The new mall in the next city over?
So you knew that?
It's been talked about here and there. You see? But I was at work, so I never went to that place.
My husband is clearly upset and insists that he was working on his day off. His uncharacteristic behavior convinced me that he is lying. Harvey is lying, for sure. Since then, I started to watch his behavior. Just then, I began to feel nauseous all the time. Why did I suddenly? Did I eat something strange? The sickness continued for about a week. I went to the hospital and found out I was pregnant. I thought I had taken every precaution to avoid pregnancy because I was worried about my savings. However, when I actually became pregnant, my anxiety gradually disappeared and I was filled with happiness. When I told my husband that I was pregnant, he was very happy.
You're pregnant? Really?
But his expression seemed to be somewhat stern. Apparently, I have a constitution that causes severe morning sickness. I was going to keep an eye on my husband's suspicious behavior, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. 6 months later, I was safely in the stable period, and my sickness has finally calmed down. Until then, I had been having my husband go with me to the hospital because of the severity of the morning sickness, but that was no longer necessary. I was able to go to the clinic by myself, and it became my daily routine to look at baby products on my smartphone while waiting to see the doctor at the reception desk. Then, I was approached by someone. Could it be? I looked up and there was Yura, my husband's colleague, whom I recognized. She patted her belly, which was as big as mine, and said happily, "You're having a second child. Look at your belly. I wonder if our due dates are the same. Isn't it hard to be pregnant with a second child when the first one is still small? Maybe you were pregnant with your first child when we met at the barbecue last time." "What? The second one? I admire you for being so quick. Your oldest is only about 6 months old, right?" I was confused because I didn't understand what Yura meant. I was puzzled, but afraid to speak up. Because this child I was expecting was my very first. I opened my mouth in confusion and fear. "Yura, this is my first child." "What? The first? In your belly?" "Yes, this is my first child." Her expression froze when I said that. "That's not right." I immediately questioned her. "Hey, Yura, why did you think this was my second child? Please, tell me. I couldn't ignore this." "Carla." She looked awkward all the time and turned her head down. But right after that, she looked at me as if she had made up her mind and slowly started talking. "Actually, I saw Mr. River at the park a little while ago. Mr. River was walking with a little boy in his arms." "What? Harvey?" "The child was not yet able to walk by himself, and I guess he was about 6 months old. I didn't see you, Carla, so I assumed that Mr. River was taking the kid for a walk by himself." "Did my husband tell you that?" "I only saw him from my car at the time, and I had already left the company because I wasn't feeling well, so I couldn't ask him the truth. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sound so..." "No, thank you for telling me." Yura left with an indescribable expression on her face. I, on the other hand, was filled with a gut-wrenching feeling. I see. So that's what this is about. So the reason he was working late is because he was cheating on me. And on top of that, he has a child. This is absolutely unforgivable. After the checkup, I stormed into the living room where he was watching TV. When he said, "Welcome home," I immediately questioned him. "Hey, I met Yura at the hospital earlier." "Yura? She quit because of her morning sickness. I was worried." "Yura told me. She said you already had a second child." "What?" "Harvey, you know what I'm talking about." The blood drains from my husband's face, and I sense his panic. He starts making excuses with his eyes darting about. "What are you talking about? I think Yura was wrong about that, right?" "I guess so. I thought so too. But she saw you," she said. "You were holding the kid." "That's impossible." "I thought it was strange. You work all the time. You don't get paid more. And you have to work on your days off a lot." "Yura told me, you know." "You're set. You guys don't work on holidays." And I had heard one more important thing from her. It is about overtime and working on holidays. According to her, the maximum overtime at your company is 8 p.m. As for working on holidays, she says she has never had to work on holidays. In other words, it is strange that you come home after midnight no matter how much overtime you have. Even on the days when you went out for work, on your days off, you went to other places.
Hey, what on earth were you doing?
When I questioned my husband, he started shaking and trembling. He thought he couldn't cover it up anymore and slowly started talking with a depressed look on his face.
I was at my girlfriend's house.
Your girlfriend? How long have you been together?
I mean, she's my ex-girlfriend. I got her pregnant, so I've been seeing her regularly.
Ex-girlfriend, huh? And the baby is yours?
Yes.
I'm angry at myself for choosing such a pathetic man, and I'm alternately frustrated and disgusted.
I'm leaving her, so I hope you forgive me.
I started to yell at my husband, who tried to make it all go away with such words. You've got to be kidding me. What do you think you were doing to our child? You were talking about leaving your ex? You're leaving your other child without a father. Aren't you just trying to protect yourself? You're so selfish.
No, I'm just trying to put you first. My ex-girlfriend was just a passing fancy. I was just going through the motions.
What? Why are you acting so weird now? You've had your way with me for so long. I don't want a piece of crap like you to be the father of my child. You had no respect for your ex-girlfriend and me, getting pregnant at the same time.
I'm sorry. So please, forgive me.
Shut up, you bastard. Don't ever touch me again. You'll go to hell for what you've done. I'll take alimony and child support from you. You better brace yourself. My husband was disappointed by my words. I packed my things and went back to my parents' house. My husband watched without saying a word. After that, I got my parents' and in-laws' cooperation and divorced Harvey. A few days later, I hired a lawyer and filed a claim against my ex-husband and the person with whom he had been having an affair. I also asked my ex-husband for child support. He had run out of money in his savings, and this expense was a big blow to him. He went into debt to pay for everything. And when Ura leaked the information to the company, he was transferred to a subsidiary company in a rural area because of the anger of the upper management. He is now working like mad to pay child support for me after being dumped by his ex-girlfriend. I, on the other hand, I'm in the last month of pregnancy, and my due date is approaching. It's the first time for me to have a baby, so I feel scared. But the thought of finally meeting my child naturally relaxes me. There will be times in the future when this child will be sad because he or she does not have a father. But I will protect my child. I am this child's mother. I'll see you soon. Wait for me, okay? I gently struck my belly. This child will be fine. We'll be happy together. That's what I promised myself.